on the sprawling grass field of the high school, encircled by an 800-meter track, a good-looking guy stood, bewildered, scanning his surroundings. What the hell, where am I? Jake Summers was completely lost. Just a second ago, he'd been backpacking up north, and then, bam, someone clocked him with a stick. Next thing he knew, he was sprawled out in the middle of a soccer field at some unfamiliar school. Looking around, it seemed like a high school sports field. Kids in uniforms were messing around on the red rubber track, laughing and joking without a care. No way, did I just travel through time or something? Jake froze, trying to wrap his head around it. If there was any explanation for this craziness, it had to be he'd somehow crossed into another world. System initializing. Urban All-Star Teacher System activated. A robotic voice echoed in Jake's head, snapping him out of his daze. Holy crap, I did cross over. He was so pumped he nearly jumped. Growing up in the internet age, he'd binged plenty of time travel stories, so wrapping his mind around this wasn't too hard. Besides, he didn't have much tying him to his old life. An orphan raised in a group home, no friends, no family, living like a ghost in the background. Crossing over? This was his shot at a fresh start. But hold up, who am I now? A high school kid? And what's this teacher system thing? As Jake puzzled over it, memories from the original owner of this body flooded his mind. Half an hour later, it all clicked. This was a parallel world called Blue Star. Jake Summers was now a 22-year-old PE teacher at a high school in Shu City, China. Coincidentally, the original guy's name was also Jake Summers. A PE teacher? Talk about a basic gig. Jake smirked, with his new identity sorted. The system was what intrigued him most. Hey system, you still there? I'm here. Cool. So what's your deal? I am the Urban All-Star Teacher System, also known as the Teach Students. Win Epic Rewards System. Teach Students. Jake's eyes lit up. Sounds familiar. But isn't this kind of system supposed to show up in fantasy cultivation novels? Did I get dropped into the wrong universe, or what? The system ignored his quip and went on. The host can teach any skill to students and earn experience cards, deep expertise, with rewards ranging from 1x to 100x based on teaching quality. The better you teach, the bigger the reward. When students grow and succeed, the host earns points. These points can be used for prize draws or to redeem items. Note, students must genuinely want to learn from the host as their teacher for the system to register them. Jake's jaw dropped. They have to sincerely want me as their teacher. I'm just a PE coach. Who's going to beg to learn from a gym teacher? Algebra. He was still reeling when a figure jogged toward him, shouting, Yo, Jake. It was Tommy Young, one of Jake's students. Since their ages weren't far apart, Jake was tight with his students. They called him Jake instead of Coach or Mr. Summers. Jake glanced at his watch. 8:30 a.m.? Isn't class in session? Tommy grinned, scratching his head. Skipped it. Jake sighed. He remembered now. Tommy was the class slacker, always at the back, driving every teacher nuts. Ditching class was as routine for him as breakfast. Senior year, man. Step it up a bit. Jake shook his head. So what's up? Why are you looking for me? Tommy chuckled. Actually, I want to be your student, like officially. What? Jake blinked, stunned. He'd just been wondering who'd ever want a PE teacher as a mentor, and now someone was volunteering? Talk about perfect timing. Congratulations, host. You've gained your first student. Newbie reward package delivered. Jake was so thrilled he could have cried. As the system spoke, a 3D interface popped up above Tommy's head, like something out of a video game. Name, Tommy Young. Age, 17. Character, 96. Helped an old lady cross the street. Loyalty, 65. Sees the host as a bro. Looks, 65. Decent enough. Music talent, 99. Current mood, wants to learn music from the host. If Jake agreed to take Tommy as a music student, the system would lock in their teacher-student bond. Tommy plopped down next to Jake, throwing an arm around him. Jake, you play guitar, right? And you sing like a pro. I want to learn guitar from you. Teach me, man. Jake was a music nut back in college, dabbling in guitar and even studying it a bit. He wasn't a pro, but he could hold his own with a strum and a song. Now, as a teacher, he hadn't let go of that passion. After class, he'd often grab his guitar and jam on the school field, drawing a crowd of students who treated him like a rock star. Hearing Tommy's request, Jake glanced away from the kid's info panel and looked him in the eye. Without hesitation, he nodded. Hell yeah, guitar's no big deal. I got you. From today, I'm your official mentor. A willing student with a near-perfect music talent score of 99? No way was Jake passing that up. Produce. Something about Tommy's profile felt familiar. That name, Tommy Young. Wasn't that the main character in some viral web novel? A musical genius who climbed his way to global superstar status? The more Jake looked at Tommy, the more he matched the novel's description. Face, vibe, everything. It was like the kid walked straight out of the story. The system had mentioned this world was a tweaked, more vibrant parallel version. Jake's heart raced. Did I just take the main character as my student? Tommy Young froze for a second, stumbling over his words. Wait, for real? Jake, you're actually saying yes? Just like that. He'd only thrown the idea out there on a whim, half expecting to get brushed off. But Jake agreed without missing a beat. Jake clapped him on the shoulder, his voice brimming with confidence. Why wouldn't I? I'm a teacher, man. A coach for the people. If I can teach Jim, teaching music's no sweat. Damn, Jake, that's the spirit. I mean, Coach Jake. Tommy's excitement kicked into overdrive. Let's get started like now. Jake grinned and nodded. All right. You want guitar first, right? Hell yeah. Tommy bobbed his head like a kid hyped on candy. Cool. Let's head to the office and grab my guitar. With that, Jake stood, gave Tommy another pat on the shoulder, and strode toward the sports field. He was itching to see how this system's teaching mechanics worked. Tommy, buzzing with energy, trailed close behind like a loyal puppy. North Hill High was one of Shoe City's top schools, perched on the slopes of the mountain it was named after. The campus was lush with greenery, almost poetic in its beauty. As Jake walked toward the office, he couldn't help but soak in the sight of the lively students around him, feeling a mix of awe and surrealness. It had been years since he'd set foot in a school, and now here he was, a teacher in a parallel world. The whole thing felt equal parts magical and bizarre. Hey, Coach Jake. Yo, Jake, what's good? Morning, Coach. Students greeted him left and right, most from his classes just calling him Jake. He flashed smiles and nodded back at each one. The other kids, though, noticed Tommy tailing him and started whispering among themselves. What's up with that? Why's Tommy following Jake? Think he got caught skipping class? Nah, Jake's not like that. Yeah, Tommy's such a slacker. Even the homeroom teachers gave up on him. Who's got time to deal with that? While the students gossiped, Jake and Tommy reached the teacher's office. The office housed 5 staff members, mostly teachers for lesser subjects. Music, art, and P. Rumor had it these were the easiest gigs in the school. Teachers often called in sick, and everyone knew what that meant. As Jake stepped inside, a young woman with a ponytail and a long gray skirt greeted him with a smile. Hey, Coach Jake, no classes this afternoon? She was around 20, pretty, and taught art. Her name was Lily Sue. Thanks to Jake's good looks and guitar skills, he was a hit with the female teachers. Nope, I'm free. You, Lily? Got your classes hijacked. Oh, senior year. Math and English teachers take over everything. I'm basically jobless, heading out early. Truth be told, by senior year, subjects like music and art practically vanished from the schedule. The office was nearly empty, just Jake, Lily, and one other guy about 25 wearing glasses and clutching a thermos, looking a bit older than his years. That was Max Hahn, a music teacher. He glanced at Jake as he entered, then looked away without a word. Jake didn't care. He was used to it. Teaching was supposed to be noble, all high ideals and role models. But people are people. Jealousy, cliques, and shade were par for the course. Elite schools looked down on regular ones. Math and English teachers scoffed at P and art, and even within departments, there was a pecking order. Core subjects, electives, high achievers, low achievers. And P, always at the bottom of the respect ladder. Sure, everyone played nice on the surface, but what they thought behind closed doors was anyone's guess. Jake, though, was a bit of an outlier. With his looks and guitar skills, he was a favorite among the female staff. But that made some of the male teachers, especially the ones who prided themselves on their expertise, a little salty. When Jake first started at the school, a 30-something literature teacher had called him out in front of the whole office, criticizing his unprofessional style and saying his guitar playing disrupted school discipline. Was it genuine concern, or just envy? Who could say? Just then, Lily noticed Tommy lingering behind Jake and raised an eyebrow. Hey, isn't that Tommy Young from 12A7? What's he doing here? I'm with Coach Jake. Tommy replied politely. Oh, Lily nodded, then turned to Jake, curious. What's the plan, Coach? Jake grinned, walked to his desk, and picked up the guitar leaning in the corner. This kid wants to learn guitar from me. I've got time, so I figured I'd teach him a thing or two. As Jake grabbed the guitar, Max Hahn, sitting nearby, gave a subtle smirk. The disdain in his eyes was clear, even if he didn't say a word. As a formally trained music teacher with a degree and a mid-level guitar certification, Max had never taken Jake seriously. In his eyes, Jake's guitar skills were amateur at best, maybe a 5 or 6 out of 10. The only reason students and teachers fawned over him was his pretty face. No taste, no appreciation for real art, Max thought. Superficial. In his head, he was already tearing Jake down. This guy's just strumming to show off. Thinks he's hot stuff because he's good-looking? Typical PE teacher, brawn over brains. Of course, Max kept those thoughts to himself. As a teacher, he had to maintain a professional front. If something bugged him, he'd just pretend not to notice, out of sight, out of mind. But when he overheard Jake saying he'd teach Tommy guitar, that was too much. Max couldn't stay quiet. He leaned forward, his voice low but sharp. "Coach Jake, you're a PE teacher." The words were light, but the subtext was heavy. Music's my turf. I'm a music teacher here. A gym coach teaching a kid to play guitar? That was like stealing food off Max's plate. Where was the respect? Who'd take him seriously now? Lily Sue gave a wry smile. "Coach Jake, what you up to? A PE teacher giving music lessons? You trying to mess up a kid's future, or what?" Jake blinked, caught off guard. I'm not that bad at guitar. I could teach the basics, can't I?" Honestly, Jake wasn't exaggerating. In his old life, he'd passed a level 6 guitar certification, not pro level, but solid enough to guide a beginner like Tommy into the basics. Plus, teaching Tommy would rack up experience points for the system. The more he taught, the better he'd get, maybe even good enough to teach advanced guitar down the line. Being told he'd ruin a student? That logic didn't add up. At that moment, Max Hahn, the certified music teacher, darkened, his face like a storm cloud. Tommy glanced at the 3 teachers in the room, feeling a chill down his spine, and took a step back. The vibe in here? Not good. Lily caught on quick, shooting Jake a look and blinking rapidly, like she was signaling for help. "Coach Jake, leave the music stuff to the pros. You're a PE teacher, don't step on toes." Jake stood there for a second before smacking his forehead. "Oh man, I totally spaced. I just waltzed in front of a legit music teacher and declared I'd teach a kid guitar? That's like slapping the guy in the face." Spending too long in the corporate world had dulled his social skills. Talk about awkward. Max Hahn, meanwhile, was at his breaking point. His face ice cold. "Coach Jake, let's be real. Teaching music in high school? You need at least an intermediate music theory or instrument certification. I could tell your guitar skills are, what, level 5 or 6. Barely entry level. Teaching a student? That's not teaching, it's sabotage." His words were harsh, but not wrong. Teaching music at this level wasn't a game. Jake went quiet for a moment, then nodded with a sigh. "Yeah, I didn't think it through. My bad." He turned to Tommy, lowering his voice. "All right, your call, kid. Want to learn with Coach Max, or stick with me?" "Huh?" Tommy stammered, then cautiously asked, "Coach Max, you really want to teach me?" Mux frosh. Truth be told, he hadn't planned on taking a private student. But Jake had pissed him off, and backing down now would be humiliating. Finally, he nodded. "Fine, if you want to learn, I'll teach you. I've got an intermediate guitar certification, but it's got to be after hours, no interfering with your main studies." Lily, standing nearby, pursed her lips and muttered, "Interfere with his studies? This kid's at the bottom of the class anyway." Tommy nodded in thanks, but hesitated, his face torn. After a moment, he said firmly, "Sorry, Coach Max, but I still want to learn with Coach Jake." It wasn't a random choice. Tommy wasn't dumb. He could tell Max was only offering to save face, not out of genuine interest. In past music classes, Max had always taught half-heartedly, just going through the motions. Jake, on the other hand, maybe his skills weren't top tier, but he took teaching seriously, never talking down to students or acting superior. To Tommy, that was a teacher worth learning from. Max's face turned beet red. "Fine, go learn with Jake then. Let's see what a PE teacher can teach you." He dropped all pretense of politeness, spitting out Jake's name like it was a curse. His anger was at its peak. Jake just gave a faint smile, slung the guitar over his shoulder, and turned to leave. "Let's go, Tommy. Right behind you." Tommy nodded eagerly, hurrying after him. Staying in that room any longer would have crushed his soul. Once they were gone, Max slammed his hand on the desk with a thud. "Ridiculous. A PE teacher teaching music? Then what am I? A music teacher. Here for some level 6 wannabe strutting around like he's a pro, and a student actually follows him. Lily blinked a few times, unsure what to say. She'd always liked Jake, but he wasn't a professional. How could he compare to a legit music teacher like Max? Coach Jake might have gone a bit far this time, she murmured. Scene shift. Outside the office, Jake led Tommy to the training field. Classes were in session, so the field was nearly empty, save for a few P groups. It was quiet, perfect for their first guitar lesson. As for the drama back in the office, Jake didn't give it a second thought. He let Tommy choose freely. If Tommy didn't pick Max, how was that Jake's fault? Honestly, when even a slacker like Tommy, a kid who barely cared about P, chose to learn music from his gym coach over a real music teacher, didn't that say something about Max's teaching? Maybe Max needed to take a hard look at himself. Sure, it sounded like a dig, but Jake wasn't sweating it. Right now, his only focus was whether this teaching system actually worked. Next to him, Tommy was practically bouncing with excitement. Jake, come on, teach me already. Let me touch that guitar. I've been dying to play one forever. Jake raised an eyebrow, giving him a side eye. Chill, kid. He strolled over to the grass, sat down casually, and pulled the guitar from its case. Looking up at Tommy, he spoke slowly, deliberately. You're a total newbie, right? Never even touched a guitar? No, anything about how it's built? Got any clue about music theory? Basic techniques. No even one. Tommy Young froze, his jaw practically on the ground. What's with all this? Learning guitar is this complicated? Jake smirked, his lips twisting. What? You thought playing guitar was just strumming some strings? Tommy shot back. Isn't it just like plucking a few chords? How hard can it be? Jake sighed, thinking, this kid's confidence is something else. But he didn't bother arguing. All he wanted was to get started teaching Tommy and cash in on those system rewards. He waved Tommy over to sit beside him. All right, first, I'm going to walk you through the guitar's parts. Then we'll hit some basic music theory. Hell yeah. Tommy nodded eagerly, plopping down next to Jake, all eyes and ears. Jake cleared his throat and pointed to the guitar. This is the bridge where the strings sit. Up here's the headstock. This is the neck, and these are the tuning pegs. Got it. Yep, got it. Tommy listened intently, practically vibrating with excitement, like a kid starving for knowledge. Normally, Tommy was the class clown, always goofing off. Seeing him this focused, Jake figured if Tommy's regular teacher saw this, they'd be floored. If he brought this energy to music, he'd be a star. Clearly, this kid was genuinely into guitar and music. An hour later, a system alert pinged in Jake's head. Host has taught music theory to student Tommy Young. Student has mastered level 7 music theory, triggering a 20x critical hit, awarding 20 mid-level music theory experience points. Host has taught guitar. Student has mastered level 6 guitar, triggering a 30x critical hit, awarding 30 mid-level guitar experience points. Jake's mind reeled. What the? An hour? And he's got level 7 music theory and level 6 guitar? Is this kid a prodigy or what? He remembered it took him over a year and a half to reach level 7 music theory and nearly 2 years for level 6 guitar. Yet Tommy nailed it in 1 hour? This was straight up gifted. Jake shot Tommy a look like he was some kind of alien, recalling how the kid had called guitar simple. Turns out it wasn't arrogance, he was just that good. Coach Jake, why do I feel like I already know how to play? Tommy frowned, a bit skeptical. Even he couldn't believe it. After one explanation of music theory and chords from Jake, it all clicked instantly. No grinding or memorizing needed. Before Jake could respond, Tommy grabbed the guitar and started playing a 5-3-2-3-1-3-2-3 chord progression in C major. A standard level 6 practice piece. The sound was smooth, flawless, not like a beginner at all. Jake was floored. Unreal. Was there really a prodigy this insane? The kind of talent you only read about in novels. Tommy, you're a freaking music genius. That was incredible. Jake couldn't help but blurt out. Tommy blinked, confused. Genius? That's what this is. Jake gave a wry smile, half amazed, half impressed. If you don't count as gifted, every other music student might as well give up. You're on another level, man. Tommy's eyes lit up, a shy grin creeping across his face. Thanks, Coach Jake. Huh, nobody's ever hyped me up like that before. You're the best. Instantly, Tommy's loyalty score shot up by 10 points. Jake was stunned. A single compliment boosted the kid's loyalty that much? He thought to himself, this kid's not to be underestimated. A loyal, high-value student like this was a goldmine. Sure, Jake was teaching to score system rewards, but he wasn't about to waste effort on someone unworthy. He glanced at the experience cards for music theory and guitar in his system inventory. System, use the experience cards now. In a flash, the 20 music theory and 30 guitar experience points were absorbed. Jake checked his updated stats. Jake Summers. Age, 22. Looks, 88, can't lie, pretty handsome. Skills. Mid-level music theory, some mastery. Mid-level guitar, some mastery. Level 2 athlete, fully proficient. The system skill tiers were clear. Beginner, some mastery, fully proficient. Complete mastery, 4 sublevels. Jake felt a rush of new knowledge flooding his mind, blending seamlessly with his existing memories, like he'd always known bits of it. Mid-level music theory and guitar? Just like that. He was equal parts stunned and hyped. Back in his old life, he'd studied music theory but gave up at mid-level. That was enough to teach high school music. If I teach Tommy mid-level music theory, I'll get high-level experience. Then I teach him high-level stuff. It's a snowball effect. The thought got him buzzing, picturing himself as a music master in no time. But then the system doused him with cold water. Host. Note. Each skill can only earn rewards once per month. Jake sighed, muttering to himself, yeah, figures. Every teaching system's got limits like that. Meanwhile, Tommy looked a bit bored. Jake, this stuff's so easy. I got it just by glancing at it. Jake was speechless. Damn, this kid really is a prodigy. He was shook but didn't want to dwell on it. Changing the subject, he said, listen, level 7 music theory is basic. Just amateur entry level. There's mid-level, high-level, and pro-level beyond that. You've got guitar down, so I'll help you polish it up. Truth was, Jake didn't dare teach Tommy more music theory yet. The system's 1 reward per month rule was clear. He said he'd help Tommy refine his guitar skills, but really, he didn't want to see how ridiculously gifted this kid was. The afternoon break bell rang, signaling the end of the 3rd period. The hallways buzzed to life as teachers wrapped up their lessons and students spilled out like freed birds. Some ran off to play, others wandered the courtyard in small groups. A few headed straight to the sports field to catch a breeze or scope out the scene. And who was the first person to catch their eye? None other than Jake Summers, the kind of famous PE coach, sitting on a stone bench in the middle of the field. Next to him, a familiar face, Tommy Young. Is that Coach Jake playing guitar again? Why is he out here so early today? Doesn't he usually play after school? A junior guy raised an eyebrow, puzzled. On the other side, a girl's eyes practically sparkled with stars. Oh my gosh, Coach Jake's playing guitar. He's so hot. Come on, let's go watch. Her best friend grabbed her arm, scolding her with a straight face. Seriously? Another boy-crazy episode? Look closer. He's teaching someone. Don't go bugging them. What? The girl's face fell, and she squinted for a better look, grumbling. He's actually teaching? But why Tommy Young? Why is Coach Jake teaching him guitar? I want to learn too. I want to get close to Coach Jake. Nearby, a couple of guys overheard and nearly spat out their drinks. One muttered, weird, right? Coach Jake's been playing guitar around school forever, but never taught anyone. Now, he's teaching Tommy? The kid who's always near the bottom of every test. Another student piped up, yo, that's definitely him. Tommy Young from class 7. Dude's infamous for ranking dead last 3 years straight. Even the fangirl from earlier was getting heated. What the heck? Tommy Young? With his brain, he's gonna learn guitar? Who's gonna listen to that? And that face of his. Ugh, a hottie like Coach Jake teaching a guy like that. Her friend sighed, giving her a "you're hopeless" look. Oh, come on, judging him by his looks again? But, yeah, Tommy's grades are awful. How's he supposed to learn guitar? Why'd Coach Jake pick him over someone else? An hour later, Tommy was still strumming away, completely locked in. His face was serious, fingers moving with precision, each note cleaner and crisper than the last. Jake watched, eyes wide. This wasn't a beginner. This was a born prodigy. He quietly pulled up the system's info panel. Tommy Young. Age, 17. Character, 96. Helped an old lady cross the street. Loyalty, 85. Respects his teacher. Looks, 65. Charisma, 50. Music talent, 99. Skills, level 7 music theory, level 6 guitar. Current mood, grateful to Coach Jake Summers. 99-point music talent. Jake nearly dropped his guitar, his heart racing like he'd hit the jackpot. With 10 minutes left before the break ended, Jake stretched and stood up, chuckling. All right, that's enough for today. My hands are beat. As he reached for the guitar, an idea sparked. He turned to Tommy, his tone serious. Tommy, you've got insane talent. Maybe even better than me for guitar. But you don't have your own guitar, right? Here's the deal. I'm giving you this one. What? Tommy froze, thinking he'd misheard. You're giving me this guitar? Yup. Jake nodded, his gaze earnest. You can't practice without one. What? You gonna borrow mine every day? I can see how much you love it, so it's yours. Take care of it. This thing's half a month's salary for me. Tommy stood there, stunned, emotions swirling in his eyes, shock, gratitude, awe. He tried to say, thank you, but his lips trembled, words stuck in his throat. Loyalty increased by 20 points. Current loyalty, 95. Gift successful. System reward. One high-end electric guitar, worth 40,000 yuan. Items sent to system inventory. Jake was screaming with joy on the inside, but kept his cool, giving Tommy a light pat on the shoulder with a smile. Keep it, kid. Then he turned and walked off. Behind him, Tommy stood frozen, clutching the guitar of his dreams, eyes misty with emotion. One thought echoed in his mind. Is there really a teacher like this out there? A little later, Jake slipped away from the field, ducking into a quiet corner with no cameras. Once he was sure no one was around, he pulled out the system's reward, a brand new guitar, crafted from rosewood. It gleamed like a sunset, its teardrop body and smooth curves like a work of art. One look, and you want to lock it in a display case. 40 grand, 8 months of a P. Teacher's salary wouldn't even cover it. Holy crap, this is insane. So freaking awesome. Jake spun around, hugging the guitar, barely containing a shout of excitement. Too bad the system only gave one reward per month. Otherwise, he'd be opening a system gift shop and raking in millions. Lost in his high, another wild idea hit him. Hey, system. Quick question. What if I didn't gift stuff, but gave cash to another student? Would I get money back? Maybe even more? The system went silent for a few seconds before replying coldly. Trying to exploit me. Huh? No way. Never. Jake pouted. All right, chill. No need to snap like that. Ding-a-ling-ling. The final bell of the afternoon rang, marking the end of the last class. On the top floor of the junior building, a brief silence shattered into a burst of chaos. Students poured out of classrooms, rushing toward the cafeteria like a tidal wave. But the senior classes? A different story. Their rooms stayed quiet. Teachers were still droning on, running over time. Meanwhile, Jake Summers, with his shiny new guitar in tow, settled by a flower bed under the building, strumming and tuning the strings. It didn't take long for eyes to light up from the third floor. Why? Dows. Coach Jake's here. What's he gonna sing today? Ugh, no more overtime teaching. I want to hear Coach Jake. Yo, fam, you heading to the cafeteria? Nah, I'm staying here. Coach Jake sing first. Same girls, same. For the seniors, drowning in college entrance exam pressure, Coach Jake's afternoon performances were a sacred stress relief ritual. Some would skip meals or eat late just to catch a song. As soon as Jake sat down, the courtyard started buzzing. The teachers running overtime could only shake their heads with wry smiles. All right, fine. Class dismissed. Go listen to your precious Coach Jake. A middle-aged teacher chuckled, waving her students out. Truth be told, most teachers didn't mind Jake's late afternoon jam sessions. It was a solid way for kids to unwind after a grueling day. Woo, freedom. Let's go hear him sing. Students flooded out, swarming excitedly around the flower bed. Jake, guitar tuned and ready, was surrounded by circles of students. Heads poked out from balconies above, and even in the teacher's office, a few staff lingered by the windows, curious. Everyone was hyped for the daily show. Coach Jake, sing I Love You Most. No, I want confession. Sing anything, Coach. You're too hot. Jake just smiled, mentally flipping through song choices. This time, though, he wasn't picking a tune from this world. He had one in mind from Earth, as the crowd buzzed with anticipation. A teenage boy clutching a guitar pushed through, stepping right up to Jake, panting. Coach Jake, can I sing a song? Jake blinked, starting at Domiyang. What? You want to sing? Tommy nodded firmly, eyes steady. Yeah, I've practiced a bit, and I want to try. Performing's the best way to learn, and to show what you've taught me. Jake raised an eyebrow, thinking, what the hell? Half a day of guitar lessons, and he's ready to perform? I haven't even taught him singing yet. The crowd started murmuring. Wait, did I hear that right? Tommy Yang wants to sing. Who's this guy? I came to hear Coach Jake. That's Tommy from our class. The guy who's always near the bottom. No way. Him? Singing. Heard he skipped class all afternoon to learn guitar with Coach Jake. What? One afternoon of practice, and he's performing? That's a joke. Grumbling spread through the courtyard. To them, Tommy crashing their brief after-school music escape was like stealing their one moment of joy. A girl shouted, exasperated, "Tommy Young, what's your deal? You think you can sing? Stop wasting our time." The vibe turned tense. Tommy, though a bit awkward, stood his ground, eyes unwavering. He looked at Jake, waiting for a green light. Jake studied him for a long moment, then sighed. He pulled out his phone, opened a music composition app, and muttered, "Hold on." Tommy stayed silent, gripping his guitar, ignoring the skeptical stares. 2 minutes later, Jake handed Tommy the phone and patted his shoulder, saying softly, "Here's a song I just wrote, Those Flowers. Give it a shot." Tommy froze, stunned. "You write songs too?" "Sure, just sing." Jake smirked, gesturing for Tommy to sit by the flower bed. Tommy nodded, quickly scanning the sheet music, then readied his guitar. The crowd gawked. What? He's actually letting Tommy sing. No way, I'm out. Coach Jake, we want to hear you. Up on the balconies, students exchanged confused looks. Why was Jake giving the stage to Tommy? Even in the teacher's office, Max Hahn and Lily Sue were dumbfounded. What's wrong with Jake? Letting Tommy sing? Is this a prank? Max's eyes nearly popped out. Lily was just as lost. Has Tommy actually learned something? What are you talking about? Learned guitar in half a day, and now singing? I studied for 6 months just to play a few chords. This is a farce. Lily nodded. Yeah, Tommy's grades are awful. No way he learned that fast. Max snorted, shaking his head with a mocking grin. I don't know what's going on in Jake's head. Whatever, let's call it a comedy show. Amid the skeptical stares and chatter, Jake didn't bother explaining. He just quietly signaled Tommy to raise the phone, displaying the song's lyrics. No words, no defense. Tommy stayed silent too. He lowered his head, gently tuning the old guitar. The late afternoon sun hit the teenager's face, washing away his usual goofy grin, leaving only calm determination and a quiet reverence for the moment. Tommy took a deep breath. Then he glanced at Jake, his eyes full of gratitude, and he started to play. His young hands moved with practiced ease, gliding over the strings like they were comforting a friend, telling a wordless story. The opening melody rang out, slow, melancholic, but brimming with emotion. The crowd's complaints fell silent. Those closest to Tommy went quiet first, then the hush spread outward. Eyes widened, caught off guard, as if the music had cast a spell. Huh. Lily let out a soft gasp, her face showing pure shock. What? Max Hahn, mid-sip of tea, nearly choked. He stared down at the makeshift stage in the courtyard, unable to believe what he was hearing. In moments, the third floor, once loud and chaotic, went dead silent. All that remained was the sound of the guitar, sorrowful yet gentle, like it was sharing a secret, like it was touching every heart. Huh, Tommy knows how to play guitar. No way, he's actually good. It's not half bad. It's almost as good as Coach Jake. Has Tommy been secretly practicing or something? What is this song? It's so unfamiliar. I've never heard it before. As the opening chords rang out, the crowd froze. Jaws dropped, faces stunned. A few seconds of silence gave way to a wave of whispers and chatter. The girl who'd loudly complained about Tommy wasting everyone's time turned tomato red, quietly slipping into the crowd, hoping no one noticed her. How is this possible? Max Hahn's brows furrowed, his eyes locked on Tommy below, wide with shock. This kid, has he been playing guitar all along? Just from the intro, Max could tell Tommy's skill was at least level 5, something impossible to achieve in one afternoon. It'd take at least 6 months of serious practice. What baffled Max even more was, if Tommy was already this good, why bother learning from Jake? Jake was only level 6 himself. What could he possibly teach someone so close to his level? Beside him, Lily Sue nodded lightly. So, he's had guitar lessons before. No wonder he's bold enough to perform like this. She turned to Max. Mr. Hahn, what song is Tommy playing? The melody's so nice, but I've never heard it. Max's frown deepened. He shook his head, silent. Even he didn't know this song. Just then, the intro ended. Tommy paused, glanced over the crowd, then looked at Jake. Jake gave a subtle nod. Tommy took a soft breath, his gaze softening. His fingers moved again, and his low, warm voice began. That laughter from back then, it reminds me of those flowers. blooming quietly in every corner of my life, just for me. I thought I'd stay by her side forever. But today, we've parted ways, lost in a sea of faces. Tommy had never studied singing, but his natural voice was something special. No fancy techniques, no flair, just a raw, husky sadness that fit the song perfectly. After the first 4 lines, the entire classroom building seemed to hold its breath. Every student stood frozen, silent, staring at Tommy in disbelief. The melancholic melody pulled them into its emotional tide. Jake gave a faint smile. Those Flowers, a legendary song from his old Earth, written by Park Shu, was simple yet profound, packed with nostalgia. Some people could listen to it for a decade and never tire of it. Have they all grown old now? Where are they now? Scattered where? Lucky me, I once roamed the world with them. La 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 la. Imisea. La 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 la. Are they still blooming? La 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 la. Let's go. They've been swept away by the wind, scattered to the horizon. Tommy's voice carried, slightly raspy at the climax, like he was telling a bittersweet story. A few students stood motionless, eyes red. Some chow pulled out their phones, recording the performance. No one knew who Park Shu wrote this song for or what he was reminiscing about, but it hit everyone differently. Was it longing for youth? Nostalgia for someone gone? Regret for things that couldn't be held onto? For the seniors, on the cusp of graduation, about to part ways, the lyrics struck deep. I thought I'd stay by her side forever. Now we're lost in a sea of faces. One girl in the crowd choked up, her eyes searching through the sea of students. They landed on a tall, handsome boy, her secret crush for 2 years. She bit her lip, hesitated, then wove through the crowd toward him. She didn't want to leave high school with regrets. If she didn't act today, tomorrow would just be a memory. The boy turned, catching her gaze, surprised, complicated. Their eyes met, hearts skipping a beat in unison. So beautiful, Lily whispered, her eyes glistening, unaware of the tears welling up. This song's amazing, and Tommy's really good. At least level 6 guitar skill, Max muttered, still reeling. But what gnawed at him was, where did this song come from? A track this incredible. How have I never heard it? The song neared its end, Tommy's voice softening, the melody slowing with a gentle sorrow. They've been swept away by the wind, scattered to the horizon. Have they all grown old now? Are they still blooming? And so we go, each to our own horizon. The guitar fell silent. The air felt unnaturally still. Jake nodded, satisfied, quietly lowering his phone. Tommy took a deep breath, scanning the crowd. No one spoke. All eyes were on him. Tommy's heart tightened. Was I that bad? Then, one student raised their hands and clapped, breaking the silence. Another joined. Then 2 more. 3. The crowd snapped awake, erupting into thunderous applause. Clap, 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 clap. The sound echoed across the school, louder than any ovation for the principal's speeches. Tommy stood frozen, like a statue. Then a grin broke across his face. In the sunset's glow, his eyes sparkled like a star igniting in the evening sky. He mumbled to himself, I didn't do half bad, huh? Tommy hadn't expected this. As he sang, a buried memory resurfaced. Back in middle school, he'd mustered all his courage to tell his parents, I want to study music. My dream is to be a star. What he got was a half-hour beating. After that day, he never dared mention his dream again. He buried it deep, like a forbidden secret. Only recently, after a year of wrestling with himself and gathering every ounce of courage, did he approach Jake, determined to chase music again. And now, singing in front of his classmates, seeing their eyes on him, Tommy suddenly felt, maybe he made the right choice? Do I really have talent? Am I actually good at this? Jake, meanwhile, was studying Tommy's system panel. Everything was steady, except one stat, charisma. From its original 50, it had skyrocketed to 80. Clearly, most of the class had been won over by the performance. Jake smiled faintly, thinking a classic is a classic. No matter the world, it could touch hearts. Tommy's freaking awesome. That song was so good. I'm tearing up. Man, Tommy looks kinda hot today. No way, this kid's been hiding some serious talent. But let's be real, Coach Jake's the one who taught him so well. The courtyard erupted in endless applause. Cheers echoed from the field to the classrooms above. All eyes were on Tommy Young, the kid no one ever noticed before. Plenty of students gave props to Coach Jake, too, since everyone knew Tommy had only started learning guitar with him recently. The girl who'd called Tommy kinda ugly earlier was now teary-eyed, grabbing her friend's arm and squealing, "Fam, Tommy, he's so cool. Like insanely hot." Fam shot her a teasing look. "Didn't you just say this afternoon he was totally not cute?" The girl was practically floating. "Okay, yeah, maybe he's not that cute, but the way he played guitar? So freaking cool. And that song was amazing. Fam." It wasn't just her. A bunch of other girls started looking at Tommy differently, their eyes sparkling. One song had turned the unremarkable Tommy Young into a star, radiating a charisma that was impossible to ignore. Jake let out a hearty laugh, clapping Tommy on the shoulder with pride. "Killed it, kid." Truth be told, Jake had planned to sing that song himself. He only had a handful of classic Earth songs in his memory, so each one was precious. But when he saw the determination in Tommy's eyes, the hunger to prove himself, Jake decided to hand over the stage. He knew that feeling, the desperate need to be seen, even just once. And Tommy hadn't let him down. "Thank you, coach. I mean it," Tommy said, bowing his head sincerely. He knew today was possible because of everything Jake had given him, the guitar, the song, the belief. His hands trembled with emotion. As the applause died down, some students started buzzing with questions. "Yo, has anyone heard this song before?" "Nope, first time for me." "It's so weird. How's it this good? Who wrote it?" In the teacher's office, a few staff pulled out their phones, searching for those flowers, trying to track down its origin. "Mr. Hahn, you're the music teacher. Know this one?" Lily Sue asked, turning to Max Hahn. Much frowned. Never heard it. But inside, he was fuming. Just that afternoon, he'd been in the office, boldly declaring, "Tommy Young learning from Jake? He won't get anywhere." Now, Tommy had the whole courtyard in an uproar with one performance. Wasn't that a slap in Max's face? Max refused to credit Jake's teaching, stubbornly convincing himself that kid must have studied guitar before. Jake just got lucky. He even muttered under his breath, "If I'd taught him, I'd be the one getting the praise right now, not Jake." To Max, Jake was just a P coach with amateur level, 6 music skills. Teach? Teach what? While Max stewed in jealousy, Lily was still searching for the song on her phone, but coming up empty. She frowned, puzzled. "Weird, why can't I find this song anywhere?" Meanwhile, Tommy took a deep breath, stood up from the flower bed, and faced the crowd with a shy but genuine smile. "Thanks for listening to me sing. I just started learning guitar, and this is my SD time performing in front of people. If I messed up, hope you'll cut me some slack." Another round of loud applause broke out. "So freaking good. This guy's no joke. Coach Jake's a legend. Tommy's already this good after just a bit of teaching. Yo, what's the song called?" "Yeah, I want to save it to listen on repeat." Tommy glanced at Jake, then grinned. "The song's called Those Flowers. The composer, the lyricist, it's all Coach Jake. The guitar, the song, everything I've got is thanks to him. I'm really grateful." The moment he said it, every student's jaw dropped, their eyes snapping to Jake, who was humbly smiling off to the side. "What? Coach, Jake wrote it. No wonder I couldn't find it. It's an original. Mind blown. A P coach wrote a song that good. Coach Jake, I'm your fan now." Jake just laughed, scratching his head with a playful grin. Just scribbled something random. Lucky the kids liked it. In the office, Lily set her phone down, eyes wide. "No way. Coach Jake actually wrote that? I didn't see that coming. A PE teacher making a song that incredible." Mid-sentence, she froze, her gaze flicking to Max Hahn. Didn't he say Jake's music skills were amateur? Didn't he claim Jake, the PE coach doubling as a music teacher, would just mess kids up? So what was this song? How could an amateur write something like that? And Tommy said his guitar skills came from Jake's teaching. Didn't that mean Jake's teaching was kind of amazing? No way. Absolutely impossible. Muck screamed internally. He stood there, dumbfounded, his face a mix of disbelief and shock, his mind like a kennel of barking dogs. As someone with an intermediate music theory certification, Max knew, Those Flowers might have a simple melody, but its layers of emotion and depth were something no level 6 amateur could pull off. Without real talent, without living and breathing music, how could anyone write a song like that? A PE coach creating this? Max felt like an invisible hand was slapping him across the face. Smack, smack, smack. Each hit precise and stinging. When the crowd learned that Those Flowers was written by Coach Jake Summers, they erupted with excitement. A PE teacher composing a song that good? Unreal. Too cool. The atmosphere turned electric, and the students couldn't hold back, hyping things up like a festival. Coach Jake, sing it for us one more time, please. Yeah, Coach, it's your song. Give us your version, come on. We bet the original from you will be even better. No shade to Tommy's singing, but we want to hear the guy who wrote it. Hearing the students clamor, Tommy was curious too. What would Coach Jake, the song's creator, sound like? It'd probably hit different. Grinning, he turned to Jake. Coach, how about you give it a go? Huh? Jake snapped back to reality, startled. He looked up to see the crowd staring at him, eyes sparkling with anticipation. He'd been zoned out because, right after Tommy's performance, the mysterious system's voice had chimed in his head. Student Tommy Young performed publicly for the first time, earning applause from 400 people. Host rewarded with 200 points. Apparently, every time one of Jake's students achieved something or grew, he'd earn points to spend on system rewards. That's why he let Tommy perform those flowers, not just to inspire him, but to rack up points. With 200 points in hand, Jake eagerly told the system, "Spin the prize wheel. Let's see my luck." The system ran a lottery at 10 points per spin, 20 spins total. Jake waited, hyped for some epic rewards. But then, spin 1. Thank you for participating. Spin 2. 1 candy stick from mysterious dimension. Spin 3. Thank you for participating. Out of 20 spins, 15 were thank you for participating. 3 got him, candy sticks. Jake nearly lost it, screaming internally, "System, are you screwing me over? Candy sticks? From a mysterious dimension. On? What? Do they cure diseases, or give me superpowers?" Thankfully, amidst the duds, he snagged 2 solid rewards. Spin 12, 50 advanced vocal skill experience cards. Spin 18, martial arts technique enhancement card. The vocal skill cards were a no-brainer. In this world, vocal skills were tiered: beginner, intermediate, advanced, and expert. Jake was at level 6 vocals, decent pitch, rhythm, and tone. But reaching intermediate took years, and advanced? Even famous singers often only dreamed of it. Expert? That was for top-tier national vocalists. Without hesitation, Jake used the 50 cards, boosting his vocals to advanced, fully proficient. A massive leap. The martial arts card, though, threw him. It could upgrade any martial technique, regardless of level. Cool in theory, but this wasn't a fantasy world. In a modern, tech-driven place like Earth, what? Techniques could even upgrade? System, you messing with me? Before he could dwell on it, Tommy's voice yanked him back. Seeing the students begging to hear him sing, and with his shiny new advanced vocal skills, Jake thought, let's do this. All right. He grinned, sitting by the flower bed, cradling his high-end guitar. Coach Jake's gonna make a fool of himself for once. Yes, Coach Jake's the hottest. Finally, we get to hear him. We've been waiting forever. The crowd roared, the vibe exploding. Jake raised a hand, and the courtyard fell silent. He cleared his throat, ready to sing. In the nearby teacher's office, Max Hahn, still stewing, wasn't done talking smack. So what if Jake's song is good? Bet his singing's mediocre. At best, level 5 or 6 vocals, pure amateur. Max was bitter, knowing Jake's music theory outclassed his own. But he clung to one comfort. Your theory might be solid, but your vocals and guitar? Amateur. How about an intermediate vocal certificati? I'm still above you. But when Jake strummed the opening notes of those flowers, Max's face froze. Intermediate level guitar? Since when? Before he could recover, Jake's voice rang out. That laughter reminds me of my flowers. Warm, emotional, like a nostalgic story unfolding. Just the first line hushed the courtyard, students entranced by every note, every word. No way. Coach Jake sings this well. How do we not know? Tommy's eyes widened, filled with awe. Max's face went pale, his eyes twitching. Advanced vocals? Jake, you're playing pig to eat the tiger? Another slap to my face. Unable to take it, Max muttered something and stormed out of the office, his pride in tatters. Meanwhile, Lily Sue, filming Jake on her phone, was completely lost in his voice. Her eyes sparkled, ignorant. G-Max entirely, focused only on capturing every moment of Jake's performance. The melody of those flowers echoed, pulling everyone into an emotional world where Jake's voice touched every heart in the crowd. Have they all grown old now? Are those flowers still blooming? And so we go, each to our own path, lost in the endless roads of life. The melody of those flowers came to a close with Jake Summers' emotive guitar. He gave a gentle smile, set the instrument down, and looked up at the students standing transfixed in front of the school. building. Suddenly, the courtyard exploded with thunderous applause. Clap, clap, clap. Coach Jake's singing is unreal. Gave me chills. I'm tearing up. The original from Coach is definitely the most soulful. Jake's voice had perfectly captured the song's raw, heartfelt vibe. Paired with his masterful guitar work, he pulled every student into the lyrics and melody. More than a few had teary eyes emotions, swelling as the song stirred memories of brighter days. All right, that's it for today. Jake grinned, glancing at his phone. 15 minutes already. You've got 45 minutes left before evening study hall. Go eat, or you'll miss dinner. The crowd groaned, complaints rippling through. They weren't ready to stop. They were hooked. But what could they do? As seniors, free time was a luxury. Skip dinner now, and they'd be starving later. Reluctantly, the students dispersed, heading toward the cafeteria. But in a corner of the courtyard, a few girls huddled together, faces glowing with excitement, whispering eagerly. Lila, did you get it? Got any good clips? One asked, buzzing. Lila, a petite girl, pulled her phone from her pocket, smirking proudly. Oh, you know it. I got Tommy's part, and Coach Jake's crystal clear. Another girl chimed in, worried. But you were so obvious filming. What if a teacher saw? Lila puffed out her chest, unfazed. Pesca, I'm tiny. Blended right into the crowd. Who's going to notice me? Hand over the phone. A cold voice cut through from behind. The girls jumped, spinning around, faces paling. Lila fumbled to stuff her phone back in her pocket, stammering. Ms. Cheen. Standing, there was Ms. Cheen Siu, the 25-year-old literature teacher for Class 12 halves and the youngest homeroom teacher at North Hill High. Stunning in a sleek black dress, she exuded an icy aura. Her expressionless face and piercing gaze could make anyone shiver. Cheen Siu, secretly dubbed the Ice Goddess by the boys and Ice Witch by the girls behind her back. The nickname was a bit harsh, but it didn't matter. In school, Miss Cheen was someone everyone treaded lightly around. And, unluckily, these girls filming were from her class. In an instant, they froze, her cold stare making them feel like they were standing in a Siberian snowfield, chilled to the bone. I'll say it again. Hand over the phone. Miss Cheen said, her voice icy and unyielding. Lila, trembling, didn't dare hesitate, immediately offering up her phone. She might have pushed back with another teacher, but Miss Cheen? No way. Miss Cheen took the phone, her tone flat. 2 months until college entrance exams, and you're bringing phones to school? Lila Chu, I'll be handing this to your parents. Now, go eat and get ready for Eve. Ning Study Hall. Why yes, Miss Cheen. The girls nodded frantically, scrambling toward the cafeteria. Once they were gone, Miss Cheen glanced at Lila's phone. On the screen was the video of Jake singing those flowers. Suddenly, her icy face softened with a faint smile, like a plum blossom blooming in wind. Radiant and unexpectedly captivating. She murmured, Coach Jake, truly a rare talent. Down by the school building, the crowd had cleared out, leaving only Tommy Yong, eyes still shining with the thrill of his performance. Today was hands down the most unforgettable day of his life. Jake looked at him, chuckling. What are you standing there for? Go eat. You've got evening study hall soon. Tommy blinked, then blurted, Study hall? Coach, I don't want to go. Can you teach me some vocal stuff instead? The kid was hooked, eager to soak up more from Jake. Already gotten a decent grip on music theory and guitar, but vocals, the key piece, were still untouched. Man, you little punk, you skipped all afternoon, and now want to ditch study hall too? Jake shot him a mock glare, exasperated. I get you're into music. Why else would I teach you? But you're a senior. Keep skipping, and what's that going to get you? But study hall's useless. I don't learn anything there. Tommy protested, desperate. Then review the music theory I taught you this afternoon. I've been teaching all day. I'm beat. Jake stretched, pouting. I'm grabbing dinner. He meant it. As a PE coach, letting a student skip like this? Not a good look. If class December 7th's homeroom teacher or the grade supervisor caught wind, he'd be in for a lecture at best, or a pay cut at worst. And Jake, he was broke. Even with the system's fancy skills, his wallet was razor thin. He couldn't afford to lose a dime. Plus, the system only allowed teaching one skill per month. Jake wasn't planning to teach Tommy anything advanced just yet. Hearing Jake was tired, Tommy didn't push. All right, I'll bug you another day, coach. Go eat. Cool. Jake nodded, packed up his guitar, slung it over his shoulder, and strolled toward the office. Tommy, in no rush to eat, sat back down, pulled out his guitar, and dove back into practicing. After dinner at the cafeteria, Jake returned to the teacher's dorm. Sprawled on his bed, he opened the system panel, staring at the 3 mysterious candy sticks and a martial arts technique in hand. Cement card, lost in thought. Candy sticks from a mysterious dimension? Unknown use? Jake frowned, muttering, "What are these even for?" The system piped up. "Host, don't worry. Useful or not, you'll find out tomorrow. This system never gives junk." "Tomorrow? Fine, I'll trust you for now." Jake sighed, skeptical but too tired to overthink it. Just then his phone buzzed. He grabbed it, seeing notifications from the school's chat app, a WeChat-like platform in this world. In the Class 12 teachers group, someone had tagged him. Grade supervisor at Jake Summers. "Coach Jake, got too much free time, huh? Leading students to skip class?" Class 12-7 homeroom. Ms. Lee Dongmei. "Coach Jake, what's the deal? You have my students skip class all afternoon? Don't you know they're seniors?" Jake gave a wry smile. "Well, here it comes.